We are the servants of the people, not the people the servants of the politician. Every guy just loves to shout around, but you have to walk the talk. This is the first time you've got all parties together. Action will definitely take place from top to bottom. Any area, anybody who is held responsible in treacherous activities such as that would be brought to book. I have been a political victim as well, so I wouldn't like anybody else to be subject to victimization of what we went through. When we have a substantial case in hand, yes, we will do it. We are there to eliminate corruption and not to reduce it. When you expect exactly what we promise, and we will ensure that it is done 100 days and less, not more.
Let's start with your revelations about Mr. Gotabaya Rajapaksa's account. What is the latest have you all found from those investigations? Because he has countered the claims and he has said this was used for the ministry's purposes and to build some headquarters and things like that. So what is your response now?
So who said not? He basically is going on a trip of his own or voyage of discovery. All we said was, no person can have money outside the treasury, and he has done it. Any other person done would have been behind bars, but that's a flagrant violation of the ARs and FRs of the country. And if he doesn't know that, I'm sad to say that such a high office has been running this for such a long time without knowing its basics. There is no witch hunt on this. It's just a factual statement of what it is. In a matter of fact, it was discussed at the cabinet as well, and the army spokesman who gave a mischievous statement was also replaced because of such. What we right along said was, money was in the account of Defence Secretary. You cannot have money outside the treasury, and that is what we're doing.
And have you all found any evidence as to what this money was used for?
We are 11 days in office, so we need a little more time to analyze where and what motives are going on. But we are astonished to what we have found, that is far from any area of what is really required by the people. They dished out as what they want to give to the people.
Now, if we talk about the assets in Seychelles, what about that issue? What is the latest on?
We are still in Colombo city. We cannot even go outside Sri Lanka. So, well, there's a lot of things. But when you are in government and when we are holding high office, it is irresponsible just to utter something with the full corroborative evidence. So I would rather take that when I have all the information in my possession.
But do you have anything exclusive to tell us?
Well, all I could say, the state of the economy is much more precarious than what we thought of. The debt is exorbitant. Earlier it was envisaged to be in the range of about 7 trillion. It's roughly in the range of about 7.6 trillion. The interest rates that have been there have been, the borrowings have been once again astronomical. So all we could basically say at this moment is that we really want to hit base to see what is the real status of the economy, and that will reveal as soon as possible.
What is the plan from here onwards now? I saw somebody had said they have received over 30,000 complaints. I think it was Ratanatha.
Yes, I guess as being a person who's victimized for such political onslaught, I would only like to take when it's really analyzed and said that there is a charge. Many just can talk, but actually when you have got a real case on hand only, we would like to mention that. I have been a political victim as well, so I wouldn't like anybody else to be subject to victimization of what we went through. When we have a substantial case in hand, yes, we will give it.
Let's talk a little bit about Mr. Niwad Cabral, who has been replaced and his passport has been seized. So, what are the sort of the offences that he has committed as well?
But the imposition of the passport, the least that you can do. The heinous crimes that have happened will basically be able to corroborate with corroborative evidence provide in future. You'll be able to see as to how this economy has been run.
I saw a news item saying that he has caused a ₹10 billion loss to the country. Can you confirm that?
10 billion? No, his one act of the hedging alone is worth about 80 billion. So that is just one aspect of it. So he's been one of the people who have contributed to the present mess in the economy. And once again, I wouldn't like to add on any numbers without exactly having things in our hands. But you mentioned one, but definitely hedging alone. You have three that have already been accessed 80 billion. Who is responsible for those? And we'll be starting investigating on that.
There has been a sort of an accusation from the former president that the opposition, together with the police, has been harassing him.
Well, I don't know what the statement he has mentioned, but I'm sure those type of statements may be mentioned for sympathy rather than the real, because there is no such personal vendetta that is going on. And if what has been revealed and what has been coming to police in the last couple of days, if the law was taken into the people's hand, then there wouldn't have been such statements. But owing to the fact that we are allowing the police to do what they have got to do and the courts to do what they have got to do, I don't think saying that checking on his house has been a personal vendetta.
I remember the opposition went in and searched also his official residence temple trees. Is there anything that incriminating evidence that you all have found there?
Once again, I leave it to the relevant authorities to tell that, because that's not directly under my purview. And I would like to give the full benefit to the people that are subject to such things. So I would refrain from mentioning which I wouldn't have 100% knowledge of.
And
but there are certain things.
now, since you're in charge of the Treasury, has this been done, or basically what can you say about the state of the Treasury?
Well, I am trying to, because the President and the Prime Minister did request me to ensure that we give a status quo of the economy. And I'm trying to see whether we can do that for the 29th. But even the overviews of the economy would be given on the 29th. And an audit will certainly be done. And in compliance with the Fiscal Responsibility Act, I'm trying to give a status of the economy through that report as well. So it will be two. One is the present situation, and as mandated by the Fiscal Responsibility Act, to give it as well.
And so far from since you took office, has there been anything normal that you have found?
Oh, most certainly. You know, firstly, what was told in the budget has not been allocated. The next is there are cost expenditures that are being talked of, which people are coming directly and saying it is much less than that. So now we have got to gel the things together.
You criticize these useless projects like the airport, the port, and so on. So is there any way to recover these lost funds?
I mentioned that they were useless because they are useless. And we have only confirmed now that it is absolutely useless. You look at the Hambantota port, virtually the vehicles that came to Colombo port went down there, and the bunkering. They have added the bunkering, which is 85% of the port revenue of 5.5 billion, and trying to show that. So these are all gimmicks that are going on. So end of the day, you are having about 600 million revenue for a year and paying 5,700 million capital, 5,700 billion capital and interest payment. So just shows the disparity. So that's why I said useless. So we are going to stop any additional monies that have been allocated towards that area. Hambantota Mattale Airport. I guess the people who said let's do this are now saying it's a waste of money. So have you got to say anything further? And also what Vimal Veeravansa said, the economic hitman is in the government, but still goes on. That has been the entire cabinet doing that together. So there has been no one man, there has been a couple of people, and the entire cabinet allow it to go on. Then one thing I would basically mention, instill discipline to financial ministry. You know, the people trusted the president and voted him in on high office of good governance and the honesty and clean government. In turn, the prime minister's appointed on the same belief, and both of them appointed me into the finance ministry was in order to ensure that we run the most cleanest, efficient ministry, the finance ministry. So on this basis, I would love to get all the media support to ensure that we have a ministry not reducing corruption, eliminating corruption, and ensure that the information is right with the people. And I'm happy to ensure that that will be pursued to the letter.
And the earlier finance minister was the president himself. So have you found any direct links with the president misusing the funds?
Well, the president being the finance minister, he has to take full rap of what is going on here. Now you could see this building. It has been completely run down. For 11 years there hasn't been a proper minister of finance here. So this has had an impact on the motivational drive of the people that are here. And the expenditure that has gone is completely out of control. I mean, on the basis some expenditure that has been incurred, the suppliers are coming now and saying, no, we didn't want that amount, but it was so taken off. So that is what we are basically getting together and now analyzing. And we'll tell the people before too long, these are what went on. But very direct one, helicopters. $425 million for 17 aircrafts, when the actual cost is only in the range of about $200 million. So these are humongous. Then you look at the Sri Lankan Airlines that brought aircrafts that are there. The prices are for the long range, but the actual machines are coming on a shorter range that cannot cover those type of areas. Then they put in beds and toilets and, where the kings are flying, which an innocent country like a downtrodden country like Sri Lanka can ill afford. Likewise, the areas of the Sri Lankan Airline mean air losses, we want to just wipe that off. And I've just given instructions, like what the President and the Prime Minister told, this type of wasteful activity will stop immediately. So all allocations from the budget to that will stop.
Let's speak a bit about the interim budget which you are presenting very soon. So what can we expect from that?
Well, you expect exactly what we promise. And we will ensure that it is done 100 days and less, not more.
Sort of on a side note, I read that you have a conflicting court date on the day that the budget is being presented. Is this...
Well, I'm going before courts because they have carried this for 10 years, and just because I'm a minister, I will still go to court and let them find as to what has gone on. They know it's just malicious prosecution, and people who send there will basically get to know as to why we were subject to such adjustment. Yes, you're right. 29th is the mini budget, and 29th morning I'm having this court case.
But you're confident that you'll be able to present the budget in the parliament?
Well, unless the courts do otherwise. For 10 years they can't do anything, so what else can they do? I mean, they know that he's been just carried on for nothing. It's a crime. But I want to go before the courts and show that, I mean, ministerial powers doesn't mean anything to hide behind.
What is sort of the plan to salvage what has been lost and like a concrete sort of a...
Well, Shara, I think what we have got to do is that this money is the people's money. And as the President said, we are only temporary position holders on behalf of the people. So we are indebted to the people and we are the servants of the people, not the people the servants of the politicians. So keeping that in mind, any single cent that is basically not properly spent or is accountable or is questionable will definitely be put to probe, and irrespective of what the stature of the person will be forgotten when you got to go and find the actual situation.
If I'm right, you met some officials from the IMF recently.
Right.
So what have you discussed there?
Well, we explained to them the situation, the economy we have inherited, and we told them that we need some compassionate approach rather than just sticking to the book. We will not be subject to multilateral agency dictates unless it benefits our people. But we are very committed to have conditional loans at its best so that the people have the lowest possible interest rates when we borrow, unlike the Chinese which come as 7 to 8%. So with that in mind, whether it's IMF or the World Bank, we are carrying one message. Please help us to bring the economy back into order, which is difficult, but without putting any further burden on the people, we'll do the job.
And what has been their response? Have they responded favorably?
Yes, I must say. They are astonished that there has been a change of government, and with the change of government, the impact on the economy, because what is being told to them is completely different to what is being presented now factually. So I guess they understand that we have inherited a government which had a previous government which had absolutely been corrupt. So I'm sure before too long that they will provide the redress that we as a nation deserve.
But there's some level of criticism about being dependent on IMF or the World Bank. And that is the reason that was quoted for moving towards China for financial and economic assistance. So do you think it's a good idea to go back to IMF?
Well, if you don't have a spine and you give in to them without looking after the interests of people, yes. But I don't think such things will happen with us. We know what is. I mean, if you can get a 0.5% loan, and only if they want to ensure that we have to be financially disciplined, what's wrong in that? But on the other way, you go to China, on a Chinese bank and get 8% and do what you want or take 4% into your pocket, that is not borrowing. So, I mean, I'm sure as the Minister of Finance, I would certainly prefer make it a little more, financial discipline by going through the tortuous process of much more guided financial discipline borrowing. That is conditionalized loan. After all, this is not our money, it is the people's money, and we are held accountable for every single cent.
There is also some level of doubt whether this 100-day plan or rather this Yahapalana or Maitri Palana would only be limited for 100 days, and after the the general elections are held, will things change and things go back to what it was?
Why do you want to be pessimistic? When the 100th day was said, they'll say the previous government said it won't happen. Now it has happened. Now when we have passed 11 days and all 5 items that should have been done is done. Now they're still questioning the balance 89 days, will it happen? We'll tell you it will be done before the 100 days. And basically it will be a journey that will be there democratically for the next 15-20 years. This is the first time you got all parties together.
How much progress has been made? I think yesterday they were supposed to start with the process of amending the executive powers and so on. So how far along?
Well, we are on schedule. The only area was the right of information, which will take a couple of days more because the people concerned, the media especially, and the legal area, they want to bring some more information and certain provisions that will be helpful. So, owing to that fact, we have said yes, incorporate those.
And there is also some level of speculation or criticism about appointing you as a finance minister, saying that there are other allegations against you. So, what is your response to them? Thank
you for asking that question. There are many things that they said no. They earlier said it was Satosa that was wrong. They had 10 years, what did they do? They finally said sorry and then nothing that came out of it. Then they said there were $3 million that came from Raj Radhatna. We will see. Now basically for 10 years they carried on, what is going on? Nothing. Right? So I don't know what any other charges that are there. So all we got to say is that we are up front and we are working forward. And basically, I mean every guy just loves to shout around. But you have to walk the talk.
And are you confident that your cabinet, now the one that is appointed and one that will be appointed after 100 days, will be free of corruption?
Well, all I could speak for myself. I'm sure the President and the Prime Minister is very determined, and my cabinet colleagues are of the same opinion like me, that we are there to eliminate corruption and not to reduce it. And I will ensure from the Finance Ministry it will be done to the letter.
Whether there are corrupt people even in the government side, will there be action taken against them?
Absolutely. Human frailty does exist, but that is not exempted from our good governance policy. So we basically will ensure that no such mollycoddling of anybody, irrespective of the title or the position he holds.
What is the plan for the upcoming general election? Are the parties contesting separately, or maybe the UNP is contesting separately, or is it still a coalition that will be contesting, or is that still not decided?
Let us finish the 100 days and work together, because we will be unitedly working together.
Okay.
So early which said cannot be done has been done. So instead of being once again negative, let us be positive.
Going back to China, will the Chinese economic presence in Sri Lanka be reduced? now that you all have come into power, or what?
No, I mean the economic pressures needs to be reduced. Is the element of corruption to be eradicated? We are not specifically against anybody. If tomorrow China can come and say that they can give it at 0.5%, I mean we would love to take it. But that not that the 8% that is there, which 4-5% went into people's pockets, just 2 or 3 family members' pockets. That is not allowed.
And what about the Port City project?
Port City has been very categorically said, which has not done its environmental impact. It has not run through the proper methodologies. The country future is being put to stake in the sense that into a state of national security. And owing to that fact, the entire project will be re-looked at and then only go forward. And all inimical clauses to be taken off. In a matter of fact, they started without any strategic development approvals. So company doing it on their own cost.
There was this story circulating about that there was to be a military coup on the night of the elections, and is there any confirmation on that? I don't know if that falls in your this thing, but...
Well, it is correct. There have been many stories, and now when we get back to the, the background of it, it certainly had a lot of bearing to that.
And what action are you going to take if there's
Well, action will definitely take place from top to bottom. Any area, anybody who is held responsible in treacherous activities such as that would be brought to book.
Finally, could you just briefly tell me a few of the things that you're going to do immediately in the ministry, like the changes you're going to make?
I am, as a cabinet colleague with the President and the Prime Minister, is to ensure this country deserves what it gets. This country is not that you cannot develop it, it's whether you want to develop it. Today we have a very industrious working population, as well as people who want to contribute to society. But unfortunately, their enthusiasm have been sapped for many owing to corruption coming in, family bandism coming in, misrule coming in. And as a result, the ongoingness or the futuristic perspective of the country was lost. We want to get that back. Investors who went out of the country, the fact that it was so corrupt, when a project is 100 million, you got to pay 75 million as commission. Those things have ruined our economic base. We want to get that back again. We want to have an export-led growth. We want to have people who have sent overseas just for the sake of doing a minor scale job to come back to Colombo. Let us give them the comfort that being in Sri Lanka and develop it much better than going outside and being away from the family. So we want to bring that and start the economic growth activities and also have a close relationship with the international community. We don't want to be aligned with anybody, but certainly we want to hold hands with everybody and go forward. And that's the investor confidence that needs to be built. And that comes in with all ministers firing from the same direction. And that we will certainly basically do.